Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands, and welcome to SP Reviews, where today I have the pleasure of checking out more tracks, more music from an act named Vices Inc. This is Running Up That Hill, I Deal With God. I think it's a cover of a Kate Bush song, if I'm not mistaken, alongside Forgotten Dust. And if we switch over to here, just before we get into it, if you hear any background noise, like a low brrr, it's because some expletives across the other side of the road have just decided to use a really loud machine today. I tried looking at it, I can't figure out what it is, but if it continues for the rest of the day, I'm going to need to talk to them about it, and I don't think we'll be having that same conversation tomorrow. But anyways, we're going to listen through this track from start to finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. In fact, both, actually. We've got Running Up the Hill again with Forgotten Dust. Let's do this. Go. It's good that they do A and B sides, by the way. I've never really spoken about it that much, but I think that's the smart way to do it, especially if you can have like the original version and have like an acoustic version if you're like a solo musician or something. Okay, the production's really good. Okay, it's really good. Yeah, this is nice and clear, and it's commercial ready. Commercial ready? Commercial grade, I think. Like, honestly, like, this is a band, right? And I've been listening to Vices Inc. and reviewing this stuff for a couple of years now. When they come in with this music, at least initially, there's a lot of promise, and they've improved and gotten better and better over that time. And it just seems like they've really got their own sound now. Everything's sounding nice and crisp. Their performance is nice and tight. It has a similar kind of aesthetic to the original. But it's still their own thing, you know? The vocals are distinctive as well. Oh, nice vocal run there as well, nice legato passage. I like this lead line, the harmonies on the left and right side. It's a nice development of the original part they had. It'll be interesting to see how they develop it throughout, for sure. And back in that hook. It's kind of crazy how much this song has been brought up with all the Stranger Things kind of stuff. I also noticed the art for the single. Smart move there, you know. I don't even watch Stranger Things, and I can kind of understand why that font's been used. I'm not saying that as if I don't think I should watch it, I just haven't gotten around to it, you know. Apparently it's really good. I kind of want to go watch it, actually. Oh, cool, we've got a solo with the lyrics here. That's great. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That was a really eloquent lead passage there. It didn't take too much focus away from the vocal parts or the rest of the accompaniment. Sounds nicely balanced, to be honest. Great focus on those toms in the percussion session as well, you know. I mean, it's good to have those cymbals there, but also to have That kind of alternative voicing more close to the original. Oh, a little pit scrape there. Ah, yeah, I was wondering if we were going to have those extreme wide pan vocals on the right as well as the left, you know? I'm glad we had both. I'm wondering, like, from this style perspective. I mean, it makes the track sound huge when you have vocals pan like that, don't get me wrong. Hey, the synth is welcome. Nice bit of freshness in there in the mid to highs. Kind of has an Eye of the Tiger kind of guitar tone to it, doesn't it? Low key, this is potentially going to upset a few people, not for the reason you might be expecting. I actually think I like this better than the original. I think that Edino's distorted guitar has a little bit more oomph in there, plus a little more variation with the vocals. Like, I've listened to the original, or maybe I'm just missing some obvious stuff that would be twisted if I went back in there, but when I tried listening through the original, especially after the Stranger Things stuff came out, and I was like, why are people so, like, fascinated with this song, you know? I can appreciate the theme there, and Kate Bush's vocals are, you know, iconic, but this had more of a continuous development and point of interest to me. I enjoyed going through the various sections. It never felt stale. I think with the original song, I became bored of the theme, and there was a little bit too much repetition without additional parts, or maybe there's so much of a vocal focus there. It was nice to have like the lead guitar voicings and other sort of synths. You know what I mean? I just think this felt a bit fuller than the original. So, you know, kudos to Vices Inc. for that. Of course, entirely subjective, so please don't flame me in the comments. Yeah, so the machine stopped, I think. For now, anyways. We're going to check out Forgotten Dust, track number 2. And, yeah, a little bit longer. It'll be interesting to see what we do with the 6 minutes. It is giving me mid-2000s Paramore vibes, man. I know that's such a basic thing to say, but I know there are other bands with lady vocalists within that genre, but great. Really great hook. The panning, not necessarily the panning, but more the sort of like filtering instruments is interesting. The guitars are stacked with a high pass filter at a point which makes it resonate really nicely on top of the bass. You know, the bass is nice and you can definitely hear that bass, but it's not overwhelming. The kicks are sidechaining well. There's been careful notching and you know, positioning of the various instruments in that frequency spectrum. It just sounds like a really full chorus with these held notes on the vocals. Damn! That was a spicy ba-bum, bum, bum. That was a spicy harmony, that little progression of that tail on that. I enjoyed that. That sort of speaks a little bit of the maturity that I think Vices Inc. are getting to at this point. They've made enough music now to start to sort of extend further into sort of stuff outside of the traditional triads and the traditional sort of chord progressions. And I like that we're missing with a few chromatics and semitone shifts there. It's really cool. Is this a pitch shifter? It is a pitch shifter on those guitars, isn't it? Oh, that's... Yeah, wow, okay. Great job reaching that note there. I like that crying out of we could be heroes, you know, saying that we could be better than we are, but maybe we don't reach our potential all the time, you know, and if we don't get to that zenith, that plateau, will we never be remembered? Will our legacy be for nothing? The souls that perished without a win. Interesting interlude section. I like the use of these kind of buzz rolls and all that. It's kind of like a funeral march or something like that, you know, as if we are in memoriam. We're remembering the people who never really got that chance. And the piano is a nice touch as well. We didn't really have that in Running Up the Hill, but it's welcome to Forgotten Dust. You know, it's not often I get a band three's reviews that sends through a song at 6 minutes, and we have like several different distinct sections. There, I like the fact that we committed to the bit, and we really went full bore with that. Please don't forget the one. You know, like I dig it. It's so cool to take a break from what we had before. It's like we're aware that we can't really get away with 6 minutes of the same thing. I'm wondering what the C section is going to be like. Oh, back to the chorus. Go. Very unison notes on the backing vocals. Yeah. Well done. Smart move. Whoever was playing this solo can shred. And the reason I know that is because it's not just hitting the notes, but it's the confidence, it's the swagger of that really wide vibrato in those voicings. This isn't any amateur hour stuff, man. I'm really proud of them, honestly. Like, this is it's kind of rough because I know that a lot of people may not feel that they have the time to listen to something that's 6 minutes long, but I would actually recommend people listen through this track. I think this is one of Vices Inc.'s best songs. great finish. Wow, that's giving me chills. Okay. All right. Let's talk about this. Because this is the conclusion of my review of the single released by Vices Inc., Running Up That Hill A Deal With God, the cover of the Kate Bush song, and Forgotten Dust, which I believe is an original. I think I've spoken about what... I haven't spoken about what Running Up That Hill A Deal With God is. I still don't know. I still don't know what that song is about. I spent a lot of that song fawning over the actual instrumentation, the performance of that one, as opposed to the meaning of that song. I don't know. It's very mysterious, isn't it? You know, maybe it's about kind of trying to climb something and maybe want to switch places with something like that in order for it to be easier or something like that. And trying to understand everyone else's hill that they're trying to run up, if that makes sense, the struggle that goes through that, and the whole grass is greener argument. That's my best take on that. Forgotten Dust. Yeah, that's basically more of a kind of a balladesque kind of thing where we have the big finish, but just we have this song that's basically about people who tried their best in life, you know, to achieve their potential, but a lot of them just didn't get the opportunity to do that, whether that got, you know, brutally cut short. Life got in the way, because sometimes life is incredibly unfair, right? And I think it's a track about talking about our possibilities within humanity and the fact that a lot of us don't live up to our potential for whatever reason. I think that's what that track is about. The vocal performances for both these tracks were fantastic. It's the best I've heard from Vices Inc. at this point in time. I believe they've firmly nailed it. In regards to the vocal technique, nicely within their range there, comfortable chest and head voice. The vibrato legato passages, bits of ornamentation were stunning and appropriate. I wasn't totally sold on the wide pan parts running up that hill. That's more of a positioning and a panning thing. I'm not sure why that was there. That may have been something that was in the original, or maybe I'm just being sort of like picky and kind of pedantic about it, but that's okay. It doesn't mean that I think it was performed badly. I just subjectively wasn't a massive fan of how widely they were panned. It just felt a bit too much in my headphones, but that's okay. No, ultimately, I think that for what we were singing about, you know, singing a Kate Bush song is difficult, you know, especially with the distinct vocal timbre that Kate has, but I think that Vices Inc. nailed that to the extent of singing it appropriately whilst also making it their own. I think that Forgotten Dust was transcendent. It's their best song yet, actually. In terms of musicality, vocal performance, the production, the arrangement and structuring of it, they've kind of reached where they need to in order to really make a name for themselves. And I don't say that lightly. I'd say they're one of the better bands that I review on a semi-regular basis, like without a hint of doubt about that. You know, bypassing the vocals and just the understanding, care and commitment and passion behind them. The structuring, the motifs of these tracks, I mean, Running Up That Hill A Deal With God is basically reviewing the original track, I suppose. And I think that the synth parts are interesting there. And it's an iconic lead line in Running Up That Hill that kind of, you know, the structure kind of riffs off of that for most of it. Forgotten Dust was more diverse. You had 2 or 3 different parts, not including the interlude section that brought itself up and kind of went sort of Avenged Sevenfold-ish a little bit near the end. Their early stuff anyways. I love it. I would listen to that track outside of this. I think that I wouldn't know that these guys... I would expect these guys to be in a well-to-do independent label. You know, I know they're doing well for themselves. I think last I checked, they had like 5-figure viewers or listeners per month, which is very good. I think at this point they could potentially argue for more than that, if they can find the right audience for it. But it's like, I hear these musicians and just Forgotten Dust, just the parts flew so quickly and so succinctly into each other. It was just a journey that you wanted to keep going on. I think with the subject matter, the way it was sung and the chord progressions and the changes in the harmonies and like the arrangement and the different instruments in there, like the piano, guitar, bass, drum, synth parts, everything was smashed out, man. Like, it was nice to have those drum fills and grooves kept, was appropriate to Running Up That Hill. Forgotten Dust went between normal half times in the chorus and verses. It's just, you had lots of coloration with the guitar parts, great sort of rhythm sections there, which were nice and full sounding with the power chords and a bit of distortion and grit there, but also That solo at the end of Forgotten Dust was one of the best voice solos I've heard in a very long time. It sounded like you had someone who was singing through their guitar. And it's so important that you do that, because there's nothing wrong with shredding and being like an Instagram virtuoso or something like that. But you have to basically keep a certain fit with what's already been instantiated with the vocals. There was one or two parts near the end where they went absolutely batshit, and it was phenomenal, and I love it. They kept their pace there, and they let things build up more and more and more, the tension, and then having little tap bits and the sweeps and stuff like that, and like those scale runs is absolutely where you can get away with that at that point. It was surprising for me, and that got me a little bit. That's one of the best voice solos I've heard in my entire time doing these reviews. Without a doubt. And, yeah, great balance there. The bass line was nice and resonant there. You know, it stuck to the root notes, did a bit of exploring occasionally, but was so supportive of everything else. And the piano parts worked well with the triads and harmonized well with the vocals and other sort of synth parts. And there were some string parts maybe at the end of Forgotten Dust, if I'm not mistaken. Ultimately, like a very, very strong track. At 6 minutes, there was no filler. Same with Running Up That Hill. So I've got tracks that are... the stories work, the vocals work, the structure is interesting, the motifs are compelling, the actual performances are top notch, and the arrangements are colorful and interesting and diverse. You've then just got the production, the recording, mixing, and mastering, which is something that I almost had an absolute heart attack because I forgot that I turned it into... I had a heart attack because I thought that I hadn't made myself big on the screen for the conclusion, because that would have really sucked, because I'm saying a lot of nice stuff here. I don't know if I'd be able to repeat a second time, because I'd forget what I said and I'd have to revoice it, and that would suck. But anyways, the recording, mixing, and mastering was absolutely they destroyed it. You know, I don't think they could have improved it. The actual recording quality, different instruments there, they were recorded fantastically. The EQing was pretty good. There might have been like a mild bit of mid-resonance in the chorus parts, which I wasn't super fond of, but then I listened to death metal on the regular, you know. Half of that stuff is scooped and off, and to be honest, it's a detriment, right? You know, and a bit of warmth in that mid is not bad, and that's their tone, and who am I to tell them what they're doing when they clearly know what they're doing, right? You know, we have musicians here who blatantly, clearly are getting the studio side sorted, the EQing process, fixed chains, aside from the vocals on the extreme left and right at the end of Running Up That Hill, which in the middle, I wasn't super a fan of. That's a subjective thing. I guess it would depend on what you were listening on as well. And limiting compression was dope. It was nice and loud without pumping. There was dynamic range to it. What more could you ask for? I don't know where Vices Inc. are going to go from. You know, I don't know where they're going to go. They can do short songs, they can do long songs, they can do covers. The world is their oyster. Literally at this point, Vices Inc. are at an impasse, in the sense that, like, how do you go beyond this? How do you top this? You know, whether or not I review more of this stuff in future, I wish them the best. But they don't need, again, I've said this before, they don't need my luck at this point. They're a professional band who deserve a career in music, and I wish them the best of luck in future. But this is effectively my review of Vices Inc. with Running Up That Hill, A Deal with God, and Forgotten Dust. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via their various social medias and a Spotify page. Stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I will catch you in the next review. Spider hands up.